Welcome back to Soar Financially. Good morning from Dallas, Texas. Before we jump into the conversation with the Economic Ninja, bear with me for 1 second. I promise you it's worth it. I'm here in Dallas, Texas. I attended VidSummit. It's a YouTube creator conference. I flew out here for 4 days from Frankfurt, Germany, and I got to spend time with some of the biggest YouTubers on the planet. Why? Because I want to learn how to make better content. And one thing I've learned is I don't engage with you enough. I'm almost embarrassed to say it. I don't ask you any questions. I don't know if I'm producing the right content for you. Are we interviewing the right guests? Are you getting something out of the interviews? Why are you tuning in? And what is of value to you? So I'm asking you directly now, leave a comment below. Are we doing a good job in doing that? I want to hear from you. Do you have some content ideas? Who should we interview next? Let us know. I really want to help hear from you because it'll help us create better content, more suitable for you. I really appreciate that. And one thing I promise you, we'll do a lot more live Q&As. We'll do a lot more engagement in the community tab, and we'll ask you a lot more questions, okay? We want to engage with you. Live sessions with the other market commentators are planned as well. So let's do that. Let's create a community here, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're over 20,000 subscribers already. It means a lot to me personally, and can't wait to hear more from you and to hear what you're looking for. Now, I said my piece. Let's jump into the conversation with the Economic Ninja, and I promise you it's absolutely worth it. We talk about mortgage rates and how the economic situation in the US is developing. Welcome to Soar Financially here on site. We're at VidSummit down in Dallas, Texas, and I'm joined by the Economic Ninja.
Hey everybody, we're sitting Indian style because we have no place to film this recording.
Absolutely not. But I needed to take the opportunity to just talk with Travis and the Ninja here about what's going on in the economy. How's the U.S. doing right now, and what's your current assessment?
It's amazing. Everything's awesome, and housings are going to keep going up and up and up. Everyone I talk to, that's what they say.
The housing prices, you mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. Everybody's
explain that, because mortgage rates are through the roof. Why are prices going up?
Well, so it's funny. I talk to real estate agents, and they're like, "We're slammed. We're super busy." And if you take that on face value, or let's say the average consumer, that means housing's good. Ask them a couple questions. Say, well, wait a minute. Just curious. Are you doing more open houses than you were before? Well, yes. Okay. Well, are you working by yourself and closing deals, or are you working in teams with other people to close a deal? Well, yes. And I said, okay, so you're busier, but you're making less money. And they will say, yes. And I say, you have to understand, this is exactly what happened in 2006 when contractors were busy. They weren't making any money, because they were starting to subcontract with other contractors. They didn't have their own houses, and they were so eyes down to the grindstone, they didn't realize the economy was actually collapsing. And so there's fewer transactions. That is undeniable. And the wealth effect is fleeting because there are more open houses, longer days on market, and there's a situation right now where the transaction volume has fallen so far off a cliff, and we're starting to actually see these price downgrades. So that's what's happening. And wait, real quick, I gotta say this. Shadow inventory is a big deal. There are so many houses that have sold on Facebook and never hit the MLS. Mm-hmm. Those sales were never captured with the National Association of Realtors. You're gonna see all that information the second week of January come out.
Interesting. Now, it's one thing I've noticed in Germany as well. I'm signed up to a real estate newsletter from one of those real estate agencies, like Engel and Völker is one of the bigger ones. I think they're also in the US.
Yeah.
And I keep getting emails with, hey, markdowns. And quite significant. One of them is I actually had to do the math on it. It was 14% lower. It was on the market for $695. I get an email, hey, this is now, or $699, and it's now $595.
Yeah.
It's 13-14% markdown. I was like, that's a big drop.
It's a huge drop, but really, it's really more exciting than that. So last year, what we saw is Toll Brothers, Lennar, and the other big home builders, they were doing that. You go on their website, and it would have, let's say, $599. They'd have a red line through it, and it would say $550. Okay, so a 9% drop, let's say. They figured out that was not good, because what happened was they said, okay, it's going to be a sale and people are going to run into it. No, because the consumer, the home buyers, were seeing the news stories about how everything's going bad. So what they did is they changed their model. They took the first price off, they removed the $599, and they replaced it with $550. And now it has been replaced with $500. There's no red line through it. No. They just go, okay, that just should be more easy to obtain. They're now becoming afraid of saying, hey, this got marked down, because the consumer's going, Why? So there's got to be something wrong.
Yeah, but where are things headed? Like we briefly chatted off camera here as well. Like you forecasting 10% mortgage rates by next year.
Yeah, by June. Last January, I predicted 8% mortgage rates by by this coming January, and I was wrong. It happened a lot faster because we've lost the 10-year bond market.
Yeah.
It's collapsing. Like this is so bad. It's like how bad is it? Like, well, so the Fed is completely not in control. They are raising rates simply to stay, like trying to catch up to the 10-year bond. This is so bad because nobody's showing up to buy bonds anymore. There are fewer buyers. So the government, since they're eternally in debt, and corporations are eternally in debt thanks to our IRS tax code, they have to keep raising the offering to get more debt. And so now Japan's going, well, we're about to hit 150 to 1 on their currencies collapsing. We're going to start selling dollars. Okay, well, when that happens, we're going to have a bout of hyperinflation. And so what's going to hyperinflate? That's the question. I believe it's food and energy. And people keep saying that houses are going to go up. The only way housing goes up, it's not going to be because Americans can afford them. It's going to be because huge conglomerates are buying them from other countries. So that's the scary thing. So I think that real estate
liquidity is a big topic. I had quite a few good conversations about liquidity on our channel in the past because China has a lot of currency that they need to deploy. Japan will have to move their currency around, right? Is that where you see it flowing now?
Yeah, so this is what's really, did you know that China, Japan, whoa, see, told you we're sitting on the ground. Stand by. Okay, we're gonna stop. They love this stuff. Everyone, type 1 below if you love it when the camera goes wonky. Stand by. China, South Korea, and Japan have just announced the summit. America is not included. They're not invited. They say this is like a normal thing. It's not normal because China knows that Japan and South Korea are massive trading partners and also massive holders of U.S. debt. There is a plan between China and Russia. It's been going on for 20 years to collapse our markets. They're very successful right now. And if they can prove to Japan and South Korea that they've got their back, the BRICS alliance has got their back, they're going to do it. They're going to start to liquidate. And it's enough. It doesn't even have to be that much. If each country holding U.S. debt within a 5-day period and did a sort of an acceleration phase to cause fear in the markets, not all at once start dumping, but started one after another, and then the news, because of the normalcy bias, everyone's saying, oh my gosh, this is going to last forever, dump your stuff, they could actually collapse our markets. And cause a hyperinflation.
Well, China's already been selling, as you said, for years now, and
but
reducing the treasury holdings.
You're right, but they were first out, so they had first mover advantage. Now there's a lot of countries that know any little blip could cause their book value of their bonds to go to nothing. Yeah. That's what's really scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, very, very scary, especially what happens with Evergrande as well. Yeah. There's a lot of $300 billion at risk there as well. That's not just a little bit of money.
So that's not even that bad. So I was the first person I don't know if you know this, I was the first person on the internet to warn about the commercial mortgage-backed securities default. It was in 2020, and Google ranked me up the top, and the channel exploded because of it. 4 months later is when, or it's 2021, because 4 months later in September, Evergrande had the first blip, the first problem. Okay, so we've been covering this forever. This is what's scary, and people don't realize this. I think it's First Republic Bank was split up by the feds, and there's only one asset that not one bank wanted. And that was their commercial mortgage-backed securities. This is what's scary. They're all imploding around the world. Nobody can afford to refinance at much higher rates, right? Commercial real estate is collapsing. You can't even, Grant Cardone is trying to hide what's going on. It's bad. That block of securities that is sitting with the FDIC right now, no one's going to buy it. Every bank is scared to death of who does buy it. And this is why. They know how valueless it is because it's a non-performing asset. If it gets sold for, 10 pennies on the dollar, that is now the new value of everybody else's portfolio. This is very scary. See, because banks right now are having liquidity issues because of their bonds and their commercial mortgage-backed securities. As the face value of their bonds drop because the rates keep going higher and they've been holding to maturity, they have less liquidity. So they've got to figure out how to get more deposits. The really scary thing is what happens to those commercial backed securities, because they're all going to be based off of the sale of those ones from First Republic. And nobody's talking about that on the internet. Shoot, I need to talk about it more, but... Man.
You should. No, there's so much going on. I'm not even sure to wrap up the conversation here, Charlie.
I'm all over the map. I need more coffee.
Oh, I had way too much already. It's been good, though. It's been exhilarating.
You're like...
I talk way too fast. I might have to slow this video down
quick,
in post.
I got to do this and embarrass him a little bit. He'll probably cut it out. You'll probably cut it out. type 2 if you think you want to see Kai doing more videos by himself, because I think that's why they come to watch you, man. I want to see what people say.
Curious.
Yeah,
You would put that on your channel. I get more feedback. So.
Well, that's true. No, but no,
it's
you're
like,
going to get the best feedback.
Send me that feedback. Like I put a couple polls. Like one thing is the community tabs.
Yeah.
Like you use them actively.
I do.
I can't even find it on YouTube.
Are you serious? Okay. Well,
Okay. Like.
So I love you, man. That's awesome. Well, and that's my mission is to help people grow, right? And we were talking about it earlier, and I said they want to see you. You're bringing on great guests, but the truth is, you know, you need to be able to share with the world where you're seeing the world going, because other people need some validation, and they also need to be challenged.
Yeah.
And they don't get that through interviews. I know I'm not trying to bag on your interviews.
No.
Your interviews are awesome.
It's good content, but it's not as personal as some other stuff. Like you're
Totally.
way more personal.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Travis, like last thing, Fed fund rate. Where do you see it going? If you say they have to keep up with bond yields, do we see 10% Fed fund
Yeah,
rate?
so that's the other exciting part. So the Federal Reserve is in a time we've never seen, and that is they have to give countries like Japan a reason to hold our dollars. The only way you do that is by giving them interest rates.
Yeah.
They're going to go high. And what's even more impressive is, you remember back in the spring when the Fed was talking about pausing, and then Jerome Powell had just finished his press conference and the whole thing on CNBC, that's it, they're done raising. And he called an emergency press briefing about an hour later, and he says, was my mic not on? I'm going to tell you right now, we're not done raising.
Yeah.
And he said things like, you're going to experience pain. Well, then just this last round where he says, hey, we're pausing for a month. I want you to understand, he said, I want you to understand, take all of your thoughts of lowering raises in 2024, throw them out the window. And he goes, not only are we going to keep raising, we're going to go higher for longer. He's trying to tell you, they have to crush the American spirit by crushing employment. We're going into a depression. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. The point is, though, it will be a sharp and shorter depression than the Great Depression. And it perfectly aligns with a Spanish flu, Depression 1920, Roaring 20s, Crash 29, Depression. In a more compact time frame, identically 100 years later on a special calendar.
Wow. On that bombshell, we're going to end this conversation. Just a short and sweet here from VidSummit. Lots to unpack there. We'll need to do a follow-up, maybe a bit of long form.
Right on.
Virtually, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but we'll have to do that and catch up on that. Thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you found this interesting. Follow the channel, hit subscribe, because I know 85% of you watching are not subscribed. Let's change that. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with more.
See you guys.
Thanks.